Please welcome author, percussionist, and music historian Craig Harris as he presents a multimedia introduction to Indigenous music based on his newest book, Rise Up, Indigenous Music in North America.
Well, thank you. Start off right away with that video, but welcome everybody. I'm glad to be able to share this time with you, and we'll speak in a couple of moments after I show you a little bit of music. Enjoy.
We are the tribe that they cannot see. We live on an industrial reservation. We are the Halusa Nation. We have been called the Indians. We have been called Native American. We have been called hostile. We have been called pagan. We have been called militant. We have been called many names. We are the Halusa Nation. We are the human beings. The callers of names cannot see us, but we can see them. We are the Halusa Nation. Our DNA is of earth and sky. Our DNA is of past and future. We are the Halusa Nation. We are the evolution, the continuation. Halusa Nation.
Piote, Wenda, Yana Wana Ho, Piote, Wenda, Yana Wana Ho, Piote, Wenda, Yana Wana Ho, Yanane, Enen Hui. Piote, Wenda, Yana Wana Ho, Piote, Wenda, Yana Wana Ho, Piote, Wenda, Yana Wana Ho, Yanane, Enen Hui. Janto, give me wow, Waniko, Rane, Yana, no, Janto, give me wow, Waniko, Rane, Yana, no way. Janto, give me wow, Waniko, Rane, Yana, no, Janto, give me wow, Waniko, Rane, Waniko, Rane, Waniko, Rane, Janto, give me wow, Waniko, Rane, Yana.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Craig Harris, and it's a delight to spend this time with you. My name's Craig Harris. As I said, I've been playing percussion ever since I was a small kid. Most of my life has been devoted to learning the language of music. Today's program is an extension of my latest book, my sixth book, entitled Rise Up, Indigenous Music in North America. And we'll get into in a moment how I got into writing this particular book. But let me backtrack a little bit. The music that we heard, that last particular piece, was done by a saxophone player, Jim Pepper. He recorded that tune with Taito in 1967 when he was with a jazz fusion group called the Free Spirits. The guitar player in that band was the great jazz guitar player Larry Coryell. That was a tune that he had learned from his grandfather, who was a Kaw Indian, KAW, and it came out of the Native American church services, which isn't like the Christian church services that you may be familiar with. They're held at night. It's all the Native American church is also known as the peyote church, and they use peyote as a ritual. When they get together at night, there's a particular order of songs that they sing. Each person involved sings 4 different songs throughout the night. Everyone makes up their own song. And Witchy Taito came out of that. Jim Pepper learned what the words meant, but he sang them anyway. A couple years later, a pop group from the Midwest named Brewer and Shipley had a minor pop hit with that tune. And they got all the Indian words right and messed up on the English words. Witchy Taito has been recorded several times by other people, but the original is indeed the 9-minute plus version recorded by Jim Pepper. The first piece that before that was a group called Exit, X-I-T. The leader of that group was a record producer and songwriter named Tom B. B-E-E. Tom B. wrote songs for Motown. Jackson 5 recorded a couple of his songs. Smokey Robinson used one of his songs as the title track of one of his albums. And part of the deal that Tom B. had with Berry Gordy and Motown was that he would be allowed to produce an album of his choosing. And he chose to produce an all-indigenous album by an all-indigenous band. He got the group together and they recorded this album. Very political tunes. It came out on the Rare Earth subsidiary of Motown. There was a white R&B group that had named Rare Earth that had a big hit called Get Ready, a 19-minute version of a Temptations song. Well, that they were given their own label. And Exit came out on that label, even though Berry Gordy did his best to try to get it to be dropped by the label and not come out. Now, this was at the time of the Wounded Knee takeover on the Pine Ridge Reservation out west that culminated with Leonard Peltier being arrested and charged with accessory for murder, even though the people that he supposedly accessorized with were found innocent and found in self-defense. Leonard Peltier is still in jail. And we heard that Exit from that first album. And working with Mildred Bailey, who was a favorite of Kelly Jean Cunningham, and I thank you so much for that. She was a very big star in the 1920s and 30s, but as you could see, none of their music, none of her songs, would you say right off the bat, that's a Native American song. They don't have any of the Native American song trappings. none of the vocables. She was at a time where you should be like Robbie Robertson, who just passed away, the former band guitar player and songwriter and soundtrack producer. He told me when I interviewed him, be proud of your native heritage, but don't tell anybody. And it was like that for a very long time. When I wrote my first book about indigenous music, Heartbeat, Warble, and the Electric Powwow 10 years ago, things looked really bad. All the political upheaval from the 1960s and 70s was the Alcatraz was all in the past. Native American musicians that I interviewed told me they couldn't get any radio airplay. If they were seen in movies or TV, it was as a stereotype. Record labels that traditionally released indigenous music was either going out of business or they were relying on their past archives rather than recording new things. Things looked really drastic. And then just as my book was coming out, some things happened that really blew things to explosion, Renaissance style. The first thing that happened was a group out of Ottawa, a couple of DJs. They, instead of just scratching on vinyl LPs and creating their electronic music that way, they incorporated powwow drum group recordings into their mix. So suddenly young people were dancing in nightclubs to powwow rooted electronic music. And it spread. That's called the electric powwow. They were called originally A Tribe Called Red. They've since changed their name to The Hallucination, and you should YouTube them. They're pretty amazing. The next thing that happened was all the political upheaval, such as in this country, Standing Rock, and the protests against the pipeline. Suddenly, people from all over the United States came together to protest, and it was a very alive, real today thing. Up in Canada, four women in Saskatchewan got fed up with everything, and they formed a group called I Don't Know More, and got the word out, and they went from a grassroots organization to a worldwide protest organization standing up for indigenous rights. But most importantly of all was indigenous people, like everybody else, got hooked up with social media. Rather than having to direct their music towards the mainstream or towards people that would discard and not listen to it, they could reach directly to the people who are ready and willing and dying to hear what they sound like. So there's been an explosion of great music. Now, indigenous music is at the heartbeat of what makes America's music. It's not the polyrhythms that come from Africa. It's not the orchestration, arrangement sensibilities that come from Europe. It's that heartbeat on the 2 and the 4, that backbeat that comes from the solid powwow drums that you could hear late at night. But who invented bluegrass, and I wrote about this in my book, Bluegrass, Newgrass, Old Time and Americana Music. His great contribution to music was that bluegrass chop on the 2 and the 4. And that didn't come from Africa or Europe or from Asia. It came from that powwow drum hitting solidly, and you could hear that for miles around. And there's indigenous bluegrass, there's indigenous country, there's indigenous folk, there's indigenous rock and roll, there's indigenous blues, there's indigenous jazz, there's indigenous hip hop, indigenous operas, indigenous reggae. The cross fertilization has been mutual from day one. That's not to even mention all the people who were indigenous that had a direct effect on music in America. In the blues, people like Scrapper Blackwell and Leroy Carr had indigenous blues. Up until recently, he passed recently, there was a great Cherokee blues guitar player named Luther Guitar Jr. Johnson. He played blues straight from his heart, but he sometimes dressed up in a Plains Indian headdress and regalia. Jimi Hendrix had native blood. Hank Williams in country music. Ronnie Spector in rock and roll. It goes on and on and on and on and on. And there's been such a mutual exchange that has been a wonderful new scene of music. In writing my new book, Rise Up Indigenous Music in North America, it was much more different than 10 years ago. Great new musicians, great new sounds, great new exposures for getting their music out. Now, I could be talking about this for the next 3 weeks, and I would touch the surface, and I'd probably lose my voice. But the best way to really sample what this music is about is by listening and sampling and seeing the great musicians on the cutting scene today. So if you will, Kelly Jean, roll that second videotape, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have over 326 registered tribes of the U.S. of A. province of Canada. You are witnessing something special. This is truly, truly the power and gift of song and dance of the Indian nations. Have a round of applause.
We hear what you say. One earth, one mother. One does not sell the earth the people walk upon. We are the land. How do we sell our mother? How do we sell the stars? How do we sell the air? Crazy horse, we hear what you say. We are the seventh generation. The seventh generation. Crazy horse, we hear what you say. Crazy horse, we hear what you say. Crazy horse, we hear what you say.
devoted to you. My heart's been always true. It's only been for you. I'll remain hopelessly devoted to you.
Soaring with the eagle so high, feeling free. Remember me down the road, hand in hand, you and me. Hi-yo, hey-yo, hey-yo.
Oh, hey, yo, oh, son of being busy, not thyself with this world. For with fire we test the gold, and with the gold we test our servants. Hey, 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 yeah, hey, yo, oh, hey, yo, oh, hey, yo, oh, hey, yeah, hey, yo, oh, hey, yo, oh, hey, yo, oh, hey, yeah, hey, yo, oh, hey, yo, oh, hey, yo, oh, hey, yeah, hey, yo, oh,
hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, hey, oh.
understand what God has praised. I want to ride across the plains to the promised land. I said, where are we going? Yeah, to a ghost dance in the snow. I am a mighty warrior, yeah, finally coming home.
You will see a human being. I have feelings too, just like you, just like you, just like you.
Hold on, it will be a while until you find yourself in this place. It won't take long for you to see. You gotta go deeper to be set free. If you wanna try and walk this life alone, you're gonna find yourself far from home. And take my word and you're gonna know that life gets better when you're not alone.
How will we cross this great divide between the earth and the sky, between our hearts and our minds, between you and I? Let's leave a better world behind. No war, no hunger, just peace of mind. No prejudice, just mankind. We are one, you and I, no great divide.
And I see you, I feel the falling star. Waiting such a long time, leaving love in your heart. And I need you to know that I love you. See the love of life breaking on the seat in your heartache.
And all I can do is pray. Take my love, I see Jesus. I search you. Take my love, I see Jesus. I search you.
When one of the last trails of tears wound through New Orleans, Rabbit, that ragged trickster, decided he wanted to be a musician. He was tired of walking, and they had all the fun. They got all the women, fans gave him smokes, drinks, and he could have all kinds of new friends to do his bidding.
I feel for you in the morning when I wake. And travel the whole world over and try and catch me a break.
Zoo. I'm a pig. I need a giant. Near me, new I need to see a buy-in. I need desire. I got to make another powwow tonight. I'll be singing 49 down by the riverside, looking for sugar, riding in my Indian car. Polka, hey, you're ready to hell, you're ready to hell, you're ready to hell.
You say what you want, say what you want, say what you want, say what you want, say what you want. 'Cause I'll never let the words affect me. No, I'll never let the words affect me.
Me like styrofoam, piercing through the strongest armor, death and genocide of foam, and still I stand, a singular red man with Jupiter-sized heart, forever repping my clan. The eagles and old man watching over my plans, talking real shit, baby, no faking here for the fans. I'm shouting out Bobby Jones, my auntie, my Muslim George. I'm drawing all of my strength for my people here before me, man. Big chief in the building, nobody take your place.
white, but what color do we all bleed? Yeah, we shouldn't drink, but we do. And that's just what it is. Doesn't mean you can crack jokes because you got Indian friends. Wanna be a redskin? That word originated from murder and genocide. So when I hear it, it ignites a spiritual fire inside. It's not a word that honors any of us. That's just something they say to pretend they rockin' with us. Nah, you're right. I wasn't there fighting any soldiers physically, but that don't mean I'm not affected by the genocidal history. The boarding school children that died by Christianity, the survivors that got away but not with the sanity. That shit gets to me. Where's the humanity?
Wait and wait and wait and watch this silent war. Now we must stand. I don't know more.
And that just touches the surface. That could go on for hours and hours and hours and hours. Other things happened back in November. One was my book, Rise Up, Indigenous Music in North America, was published by some books, the subsidiary of University of Nebraska Press, and it's gotten a lot of attention. Took me 4 years to write, and I'm very proud of it. Also in November, the great film, Tales of the Flower Moon, came out, and if you haven't seen it, I strongly recommend it. It's about the tragic story of what happened to the Osage Indians back in the 1930s. It was done by Martin Scorsese, starring Leonard DiCaprio and Robert De Niro, and the hit of this year, Lily Gladstone, who appeared as one of the characters' mother on one of the Reservation Dogs episodes, and showed what she could do. She has since won the Golden Globe, and I think she's on a direct course to getting the Oscar for Best Female Actor of the Year, Lily Gladstone. And like I mentioned before, I've heard that she's going to be tackling on the role of Mildred Bailey next. And the last thing that happened in November, which isn't so happy, and you may have noticed in that film, somebody was missing, and that's the great Buffy St. Marie, who at one time was the queen of Indigenous music for over 60 years. She had hits, she won the awards, she won Emmys, she won Oscars, and she won Grammys and Juno Awards. And then she was outed out by a Canadian documentary series on the CBC network up in Canada that she's not Indigenous at all, and broke everybody's heart. It's hard to imagine that one of your heroes is not what she or he says that they are. But that's how far we've come from when people were trying to hide the fact that they were Indigenous, to being so proud of it that they want to be, even if they're not. Oof, tough thing. One of the outgrowths of my book, Rise Up, Indigenous Music in North America, is that I've been working with my cousin, Terry Katz. He won the New York Film Festival Best Documentary Film Award a couple of years ago. And he's won other awards and made other films. And we've been working up a 10-episode series based on my book. And if you'll settle back for a moment, let me just show you what we'll be using as the demo of what we've been working on, and it'll answer a lot of questions. And then we'll come back, and if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. So Kelly, if you will roll that last video, that would be greatly appreciated.
Who is the most important individual in the world? We all are.
Go get your money somewhere else.
They're bulldozing. They're bulldozing and preparing to install a pipeline to go into the river.
Water is life. We all die without it. I wish they'd open their eyes and have a heart to realize that we're not going to be the only ones going to suffer. They're going to suffer too.
But what he said was so bad. Roll up your sleeves. Come as you are. Prince Charming is the enemy. Fight like a woman. Please now. Fight like a woman.
We grew up in a really political hotbed because our people were being relocated, and so we did everything that we could, and music is one of the venues that we have to empower our people to retain our culture.
We've accomplished letting Enbridge know that the people of this nation and the people of this world, tribal or otherwise, have withdrawn their social license to pollute water, and that they need to find an honest, nonviolent way to make a living.
We win every day, and we stand in unity.
We decided that we wanted to focus on music that would empower and inspire people to understand that they can make positive change in their community.
We stand and we fight. This land belongs to the earth. We are only caretakers.
We're protecting our water. That's what we were here to do, and that's what we did.
The resources are dwindling. That industrial ruling class, they want to keep what they have. They're on an anti-life destructive course with the future. We live in a technologic, perceptional, actual reality, where a part of that technologic reality is that the civilizing processes, it erases the memory of the human being. It erases the memory from the human being of being a human being, a severing of our connection to any spiritual reality. See, so we no longer participate in reality, perceiving reality as human beings. We participate in reality as feeling as either like oppressed culturally, ethnically, gender-wise, class-wise, but we participate in reality from the eyes of being victimized and very fearful and insecure.
Evolution, not revolution.
It's really an issue of how do we recognize ourselves. You know, we need to recognize that we're human beings. Our bone, flesh, and blood, our DNA, we're literally made up of the metals, minerals, and liquids of the earth. We're all made up of the same stuff, just arranged differently, have the same relationship to sun, sky, universe. The majority of the human beings participate in this reality based upon their fears and their doubts and insecurities, so their perception of their inabilities.
Seems like in this day and age, everybody wants change. No matter what side of the fence you're on, who you pray to, or where you come from, we all want to see a positive change for the future generations to come. The only problem is, we all have a difference of opinion on how to achieve that change, and that puts us in spots like where we're at today. They say that you're crazy if you think that you can change this world, but I know that you're crazy if you think that you cannot change this world. They say that we need a great revolution, but I disagree with that. I say that we need a great evolution. See, revolution is to revolve. Revolution is to go back, to reset a broken way of doing things. What we need is evolution. Evolution begins within oneself. Change begins within oneself. Change yourself, change your family, change your city, change your state, change the country, change the world. It's evolution, not revolution. Oh.
We really need to recognize ourselves. Then we can synchronize all the other things in a much more synchronized way. Give thanks to the Creator, number one, for life, and number two, for the gift of intelligence. Because we need to show respect to our intelligence, and maybe it's a part of our thanks that we give. It's not that nothing can be done about it, but again, this comes back to how clearly and coherently we use our intelligence. Because I think that, number one, there's no revolutionary solution to anything that we're dealing with. There may be revolutionary stopgaps, but there's no revolutionary solution. It's about, we're a part of evolution. It's an evolutionary reality, so there's an evolutionary solution.
Quote the words of a great friend, Mr. John Trudell. You have to learn to like and love yourself. See, these negative ideas and these negative perceptions of other people are just that, their perceptions. It is impossible for the human brain to think negatively about itself. But what it can do is take the negative thoughts and perceptions of other people and believe that as truth. So you have to learn to like and love yourself. Because if you don't like and love yourself, what good are you? Evolution. Not revolution. Ooh, evolution. Yeah. Not revolution.
When you look at world music, you look at folk music, you look at punk music, it all comes from the same place. It all comes from our heart.
It is said that when Creator was giving a place for all the spirits to dwell who would be taking part in the inhabitants of Mother Earth, there came a sound, a loud boom from off in the distance. As Creator listened, the sound kept coming closer and closer, until it was finally right in front of Creator. "Who are you?" asked Creator. "I am the spirit of the drum," was the reply. "I have come here to ask you to allow me to take part in this wonderful thing." "How will you take part?" "I would like to accompany the singing of the people. When they sing from their hearts, I will sing as though I was the heartbeat of Mother Earth. In that way, all creation will sing in harmony." Creator granted the request, and from then on the drum accompanied the people's voices.
The drum is our instrument that we use to project song, to create vibration.
The music is an energy, and the vibration of that energy as it travels through the air affects people in different ways. No one person sitting at any of my events, hears the same thing. It's all different. And the images they produce in their mind, all these different pictures going on at the same time.
Look again to the wind, my brother. Oh, look once more to the wind. Now we shall go forward. Now we shall shake hands. But we shall remember that once we owned this land.
One oral tradition story is about a flute. And these flutes are unique to individuals. And the boy would have one that was made specifically for him, or maybe he made it, and it would be the length of his arm, and the finger holes were spaced out so that it fit nice in his fingers. And it would have a special sound that was only his. The girl that might like him would hear that sound and know that that was the song for her.
The flute came to us from Europe. Then many natives began taking it up and crafting it according to what they saw in the instrument and how it produced different pitches based on how they made them. Indigenous cultures were here before this whole continent was named after Amerigo Vespucci, you know, by the Queen of Spain.
In the 1500s, the empires of England, Spain, France, and Portugal divided up the world. They were very active in exploring the world and taking the lands already occupied by indigenous nations illegally.
There's this sense that this came out of the ether, it was always thus. Starting at the time of the first colonial incursions into the Americas, there had to be justification. Why did the colonial powers have the right to take over these lands and assert their sovereignty or their jurisdiction? What did they do about the fact that there were people here already who were living in, using these lands, exercising their own laws, having their own political structures? There had to be some sort of justification to allow that colonial authority to be asserted.
The Pope of the Catholic Church validated the illegal taking of the lands by issuing a papal bull, a doctrine, the doctrine of discovery.
Christian doctrine, specific. Wasn't Muslim doctrine, wasn't Jewish doctrine, Christian.
The papal bull provided instructions that indigenous peoples are not human or Christian. Because indigenous people are not human, they don't have sovereignty in government.
If there are no Christian nations in this new land you have discovered, I declare those lands to be empty. Terra nullius, very old Roman law. Further, if there are people there and they are not Christians, they do not have a right of title to land. They have only the right of occupancy.
Those indigenous nations that were living here are now semi-sovereign nations, no longer sovereign, but dependent on European sovereignty, and their willingness to let them retain some of their sovereignty.
1823, Supreme Court Justice John Marshall adjudicating the case Johnson versus McIntosh. Two white men arguing over Ohio Indian land. He says, you boys have it all wrong. Don't you understand? This was settled long ago. They don't have a right of title to land. And he moved that principle into U.S. federal law.
Not only is it basically the root of the whole structure of property law in Canada and the United States and Australia, for instance, but it is thoroughly enmeshed in the structures of our law so deeply that it's often difficult to even spot it.
Chief Justice John Marshall basically said, in simple terms, we are sovereign because of the doctrine of discovery. We have the right to govern this land because we discovered it. And he wasn't talking about we in the American sense, he was talking about we in the white man sense.
2007, Oneida versus New York, court case. First notation by a Supreme Court Justice, doctrine of discovery. 2007. It's a reality, but most people don't understand that, and most people don't know that. No discussion about our people and about justice and about what's right. The American people don't know about this. Well, it's time they learn. It's time they learn because it's going to take all of us. It's going to take all of us, and I would be very, very, very careful about stamping out the last place that's holding the line the hardest.
And that's just a sampling of what we're working on. Are there any questions that I can answer? I've certainly enjoyed. I'm glad everything worked well today, Kelly. And I'm glad that it's on tape. And I trust you'll send me a link when that's up and running so that I can share it with my friends that didn't have an opportunity to tune this in this morning, but I've certainly enjoyed it. And I thank you very much, Kelly. I thank you, Mary, and I thank you, Susan, for being here. I'd like to finish up with a song that I usually have musical accompaniment for. It's closed out all my shows going back to when I was a teacher. I really believe that you need to bring things full circle and leave them well grounded. So I'm going to attempt to sing this a cappella to close us out today. If you've got troubles and you need a helping hand, if you've got troubles and you need a helping hand, if you've got troubles and you need a helping hand, come to me, I will be your friend. I'll be your friend. I'll be your friend. If you've got troubles and you need a helping hand, come to me, I will be your friend. Thank everybody. I invite you to tune into bluegrasscountry.org Friday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern Time for my radio show. Got a lot of great music happening. And thank you and have a wonderful day, everyone.
All right. Thank you, Craig. That was a wonderful presentation. I'm so glad we were able to see it in full. I'm not seeing any questions in the chat, but just since this is a different medium, I do want to mention for anyone who did have questions, there is a little icon that looks like a message, like a chat bubble. If anyone has not seen it already and was looking to ask a question, that is how you would enter it. If anyone has any questions for the library, I'm going to turn some music back on and just kind of hang out in case there's any last minute stragglers here. Thank you all for joining us today. And thank you once again, Craig, for sharing all of this with us and the product of your hard work. It has been inspiring and a joy to share with you. So thank you for joining us today.
You're quite welcome, Kelly. Thank you for your patience in all this. And I'm glad that we finally got it all to work. Technology being technology.
Absolutely.
Have a wonderful day. I'm signing off to enjoy 50-degree weather in February.
All right. Enjoy, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you, folks.
Can't you see what love and romance has done to me? I'm not the same as I used to be. This is my last affair. Tragedy just seems to be the end of me. My happiness is misery.